Group C, we have England paired up with Serbia, Slovenia, and Denmark battling it out in this group. We have to talk about England.
Have to.
Coached by Gareth Southgate and ranked number 4 in FIFA's rankings. I mean, the biggest question, the biggest narrative I see regarding England every single time I click on a video talking about this team is the narrative surrounding Gareth Southgate. And so I want to start there. Bro, is he really the problem? Let's figure this out.
I get sentimental and actually very empathetic when I look at this English squad under Gareth Southgate, because I think there's been an unrealistic amount of pressure on this English squad prior to this year. So when they made it in 2018 all the way to the semifinals, this was a new English squad. They had just disappointed in the Euro 2016 where they got outed by Iceland.
Jesus
Embarrassing. Christ. But the new generation that followed to try and fix that, dude, they went all the way to the semifinals playing really good football. Harry Kane, during that time, established himself as one of the best strikers in the world, and he has been that ever since then. And that was all under Gareth Southgate. He started what has become this juggernaut of a team. But people gave England so much shit for losing that semifinal.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's an insane amount of pressure. It's a little harsh. It's very critical in my opinion. And what I went on to realize is that's just how it is when it comes to England, man. And I think you have to take those criticisms with a large grain of salt, man, because every single tournament since then, it has been nothing but England should be doing so much better. This English squad can't hack it. You know, they choke in the biggest moments. But, dude, then after that 2018 World Cup appearance, they go to the Euro final and they lose on penalties, man.
Penalties.
I don't think you can ask any more from a squad that achieves something like that. And I understand there still are points of criticism. You can always criticize a team. I'm just saying, don't let it get out of hand. Don't let it get out of proportion, because realistically, the only thing that you could say in that final was Gareth Southgate made some interesting penalty decisions. But even then, it's a lottery at the end of the day. England played so well. They were courageous. They were valiant. And they were still so young at the time. You look at the team that they have now, obviously, there's so many more players that are in form, playing at the highest level. But they still get criticized because in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, they lose out to France in the quarters. And I understand that was probably very disappointing, but it's France, man. They were runners-up. They lost the penalties against Argentina in the final. France-England itself was a final, you know? And Kane missed a really big opportunity, but can you really blame Southgate for that? I don't think so. So ultimately, what I'm getting at is I think Southgate should be criticized for some of the decisions he's made, but you can't criticize him as much as most people do.
I do think this is a tournament that makes or breaks Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
This is the one. I see if they don't get that Euro Championship this year, if they don't win the final, I think he's gone, bro. And that's with 2 years left until the World Cup. So despite all of that, I do think the pressure is very much there for Gareth Southgate. And I do think that I agree with your points, but I also agree that the pressure should be there. Because you look at the talent level of this team, you look at how close they've gotten, to not get there and lift silverware after a 4th major tournament under Gareth Southgate, I think that's when you have to cut the umbilical cord on this managerial job, especially considering the level of depth that he has at his disposal. It's remarkable, bro. One of the deepest teams I've ever seen on the international level. Like, we're talking about Kane, Saka, Foden, Bellingham, Declan Rice, Kobbie Mainoo, John Stones, Pickford, if you want to throw him in there as well, Kyle Walker, just a few names. And then looking at the exclusion list, it's incredible how many players got left out only because the starting 11 is so strong. Marcus Rashford isn't here. Ben Chilwell, Dominique Solanke isn't here. Jadon Sancho, UEFA Champions League finalist Jadon Sancho. Raheem Sterling, Reece James, my very own Harvey Elliott isn't here. Tomori, the center back from AC Milan, isn't here as well. It's insane how stacked this team is. It is time for Gareth Southgate to finally deliver, and I think they might be able to do it, bro. I'm going to keep it real simple, real plain for you right now. I think they might be able to do it. I think this is the year where England could get to the final and finally get over the hump and bring the English fans a major trophy that they have been thirsting for so long. And that's why I do have that expectation. When it comes to England, they have to make the final.
If you compare this English squad to the last 3 major tournament squads that they brought, this team is light years better. And that's scary because those teams went to finals. They went to semifinals. If this team on paper is miles ahead of the teams that got them those results, then England have the most pressure at this year's Euros. And I think they should. They have the best midfield on paper. They have the best offensive line on paper. And in my opinion, they are also the deepest squad. You already listed out every single player, all of the studs, ballers out on the pitch, bro. They have to perform. And I have them as my favorites to win this year's tournament. They are title contenders for sure, but I agree. They have to go to the final minimum. And then from there, obviously, finals just, they could lose on penalties again, and I'll be okay. But if they don't get to a final, I say disappointment. Southgate has to go.
It's the form, bro. The form of these players is actually what I think differentiates the level of the squad compared to others. Bundesliga. Kane is arguably was the best player this past year with over 35 goals. And the only guy you compare him to is Florian Wirtz, who played for the winning team, which I think I would happily take that argument. But Kane was one of the top players in Bundesliga. You look at the Premier League, Phil Foden, by far the best player this year. Over in La Liga, Jude Bellingham and Vinny Jr., make your pick. But for a good while, it was Jude Bellingham who was outplaying Vinny Jr. and the best Real Madrid player for, I'd say, all but 2 months, in my opinion. So 3 out of the top 5 leagues in Europe have been dominated by English players that all get to play together in one offensive line. I think that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I actually don't know if I've seen this in my lifetime where so many players from one specific country are in such good form going into a major tournament. The front line of Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Harry Kane, and Bellingham is going to be ridiculous, man.
It's crazy,
ridiculous.
dude. It's literally like a video game when you look at the front line that England could put out. And that's one formation that they could do. But Southgate could do a completely different 4, and it would still be just as effective, honestly, because you could put Ollie Watkins, who had an insane year in front of goal, up top. You could put Cole Palmer on one side. You could put Eberechi Eze, who's absolutely balling for Crystal Palace, on the other side. And then beneath all that, you could put James Maddison, who had a stellar season at Tottenham this year. So it's ridiculous how deep this English squad is.
You see what they did today?
Yeah.
Against Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ollie Watkins up top, behind him Cole Palmer, Eze to the left, Jared Bowen to the right. There
you go.
And then behind him, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Conor Gallagher. These guys might not start, bro. Not a single one of these guys.
Not a single one of them,
That's
bro.
nuts. Who do you think is going to be you could say the defensive pivot behind these 4 offensive players that I mentioned? Because I do think the favorites will be Saka, Harry Kane, Bellingham, and Phil Foden. I think I'm predicting a Declan Rice, and surprisingly, bro, Kobbie Mainoo, I think, is going to get the start.
I wonder. Obviously, it will be Declan Rice. He's one of the best defensive midfielders in the modern game. But yes, dude, who is going to be his defensive partner? And it's going to be a massive decision. It has been Gallagher in the qualifiers. Not all the time, though. Maybe only like 50% of the time. Kobbie Mainoo, though, has had a really good 6 months. And he's like Gallagher in the sense that he's really good at decision making. He's actually pretty good off the pass from a midfield position. But he's also physical. He might be more physical than Gallagher. And Gallagher's a pretty feisty guy. I do just wonder who is Southgate going to pick. I honestly don't know. I'm going to go Gallagher just because he's a slightly more experienced. I think Kobbie, obviously, is still a teenager and he hasn't played at this level ever before. But I mean, put him alongside Declan Rice and he showed he can do it at Manchester United. Mainoo would be a good option too.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculously stacked from midfield to offense, but it's time to play devil's advocate. If you're against this English squad, I think the one place you're looking to take advantage of is ultimately their defense.
Yeah.
Where I think the best player is John Stones and Kyle Walker. But then it gets interesting with who becomes that pairing center back for John Stones. Is it Harry Maguire, or has Southgate moved on from that? And is he interested in bringing on a guy like Branthwaite from Everton, I believe? Who is he going to go with as the pairing center back? And then I think there's a slight argument to be made, but I'm defensive of it as well. Jordan Pickford, when you look at the top 5 teams in the world, he's definitely the weakest goalkeeper out of those 5. But the thing is, when it comes to Pickford in major tournaments, I've always been impressed with him and I actually love having at the back a true Scouser, if you will. I love his energy and his attitude. I just would say that maybe his absolute peak, the best version of himself, doesn't compare to like the best version of Alisson, of Donnarumma, and of these top goalkeepers. That's all.
That's actually a great point, but you're right. I've never really seen Pickford underwhelm at a major tournament.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think you can really criticize it if Southgate starts him. But yeah, I think the center back situation is going to get really interesting for England. Stones has been kind of injured this year, right? He hasn't played as much football as you'd like him to. If he's healthy, then he should be completely fine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's fully healthy, as in he doesn't even have a little knock. If that's the situation, then I could see Southgate still going with Maguire because he hasn't fully transitioned from him. And that's just kind of the weird part. Maguire obviously is just such a character for Manchester United, and it's been tough on him, especially given that Man United just had their worst season in like 20 years. So I could see Southgate not picking Maguire, but if he picks him, I mean, he's been picking him for 6 years now. So it's just like, why wouldn't he if he truly does trust him? Another position that's up for grabs, though, is that left back position because Luke Shaw's injured ultimately. So who is it really going to be? It could be Kieran Trippier, who has played inverted before. It could be Joe Gomez, who was super useful for Jurgen Klopp when they had so many injuries back in February. I could see Gomez easily going to that left back position and just, doing what he does best, adapting and being defensive first and foremost. I wonder who's really going to take that left back position, though, under Southgate.
Yeah, Kwanzaa also plays at the center back position, too. He had a good season for Liverpool. I wonder if he gets paired up in that center back spot. Left back is interesting, but it's still a lot of quality to choose from, in my opinion. But that is the weakest sector. The defense, to me, is the weakest sector. But ultimately, man, I'm going finals for this team. I'm going finals for this team. And I want to know from the fans, from the people watching, where do you have this English team finishing this tournament as? Is it as champions? Is it as runners-up? Or are they going to disappoint? And then that's the question. What happens if they disappoint, like losing the quarters, bro? What happens?
They can't, man.
But what happens, bro?
This English team cannot fail. They cannot exit this tournament prior to the semis, man. They have to make it to the Final Four, and they have to win that semifinal, man. I don't care who they play, but my God, imagine if somehow they get like Germany in the quarters, or like France in the quarters, or Portugal, or like a really good Hungary side. Like, it'll definitely make for pure drama, but that's the Euros, man. There's so many good teams. It's up to the absolute best to make it to the final. I think England is that.
Who had more pressure going into a major tournament? England 2024 or Argentina 2022? Oh, dude, this is a lot. Man. The way we're talking about this team, this is a lot.
Wow. That's actually a crazy question. I think you'd almost have to say England only because all their players are pretty much from the Premier League, right? You have the Premier League Player of the Season in Phil Foden. Yeah. You have the La Liga Player of the Season in Jude Bellingham. They're all like, 21, 20 years old. You have the best striker in the world in Harry Kane. You have the best defensive midfielder, self-proclaimed, in Declan Rice. It's like there's just too much heavyweight talent. That's all the pressure in the world. Whereas maybe for Argentina, all the pressure was on Messi specifically.
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
But obviously Argentina, they're one of the most pressurized teams in the world at all times. So it's close for sure.
It's close, man. It's close because I look at this English team, the way people are talking about them. I'm scared for them to see what happens if they don't lift the title, bro.
Dude,
I'm scared,
dude. And and the thing is, maybe I understand a bit of the pessimism because if you are English, you can't say that England are going to win. You can't, because then you're setting yourself up for just depression. You know what I mean? And you can't look at the squad sheet and be like, oh, we have Foden, we have Kane, we have Bellingham, we have Saka. You can't be like, all right, we're going to the finals. And if you don't, man, that's going to hurt right here. Yeah. That's going to hurt right where it hurts, bro, in the heart. So I can understand why British people are just like, yeah, England always bottle it at the end, or they always choke because it's the easier emotion to go with. But all I'm saying is that I'm going the opposite direction, man. I'm putting that pressure on England. They have to go to the finals. They have to finally win it.
I think looking at this group and deciding what are the most interesting topics, I think obviously England leads that line. But then the second most interesting thing that fascinates me about this group is who ends up getting last place? Because I don't think the gap is that big between Serbia and Slovenia. And low-key, you could throw in Denmark in there if we see the same Denmark that showed up at the World Cup, bro.
You could throw them in
I think it's going to be a race for last place. And who's going to be the face? of that. I'm trying to write. Who's going to be last place for you, bro?
I have Slovenia. I do. And it's simply because they don't really have much tournament experience. And honestly, doing my research on this team, I realized if you're not making major tournaments or getting close to it, I'm also not watching you, because I have watched very little of Slovenian football over this last 12, 14 years. And I'll be honest, I actually don't know much about the players themselves. This is only their second total Euros appearance since the year 2000. Yeah. And it's their first major tournament since the 2010 FIFA World Cup. So it's been a very long time since the people of Slovenia has something to celebrate from a major tournament perspective, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Coached by Matjaž Kek, ranked at number 57, finished second in the Euros qualifying behind a team that is in this group in Denmark. So we actually have a place of reference to see how they performed against a team that they're going to play against in the Euros. They got guys like Jan Oblak, bro. Yeah. You say you haven't seen a lot of Slovenian players. You've been embracing that, man, for so many years at your favorite club.
And can I go off a little bit, do a little something on Jan Oblak, because I do actually have something to say here about this man. This Jan Oblak qualifying with Slovenia to the Euros, this reminds me of when Gareth Bale qualified for the Euros in 2016 with Wales. Because the whole narrative when Bale was really young was, is Wales going to be good enough, given that they're such a small country, to get a player like Bale on the international stage? And they finally did it in 2016. And when they did do it, my God, they did it in style, bro. But I think this is that for me. To see Jan Oblak qualify for a major tournament when, honestly, he probably wasn't supposed to, given Slovenia's quality, this is massive for me. And I think if you're any fan of the best goalkeepers in the world, you're happy that Jan Oblak is finally getting to participate at a major international tournament, bro. And whatever happens, I honestly don't care. They could lose every game 4-0. He could be the worst keeper here. I'm just glad that he's finally getting to play, because you know what, bro? He has had every summer off. He hasn't had to work a single summer his entire career. This is the first time where he ends the season with Atleti and he's like, all right, now I get to represent my country.
Simeone's like, where the hell are you going? Huh? He's got his backpack and shit. I got plans, coach.
I got to play, man. I got to play for Slovenia. And that's what I'm getting at here, is that this is massive. He's been one of the best keepers in the world. Now he gets to don that Slovenian jersey.
Yeah, give me Keylor Navas with Costa Rica type vibes. Exactly. A legendary goalkeeper, seeing his team on the biggest stage. They got guys like Bijol, Brekalo, Stojanovic, Elsnik, Benjamin Sesko, and Luka Doncic, bro, on this fucking team. The Slovenian, man.
Doncic.
Fucking Doncic is on this fucking team, bro. They play team football. That's what I got for Slovenia. I'm looking at the results. It's actually not that jarring. It's not that negative, I would say, looking at their past results. There is something positive there, and I'm actually going to say there's an argument to be said that they can play up to just about anybody's level for certain amounts of time. It's there. There's something to work with. There's something that's somewhat positive. And lately, we mentioned how they have Denmark in this group. They played against Denmark recently, and they drew 1-1 the first time, and then they lost them 2-1. So that says to me that they can at least keep games really close. And I think that's really important in the Euro specifically, where keeping a game really close, making it really tight, maybe they can get a couple points out of this group and see themselves get out of it in third place, or at least compete for that third place position. I'm a little bit higher on Slovenia than I think you are, bro.
Yeah, I'm not that high on them.
I'm seeing a little bit more positivity here in comparison to a team like Serbia. And if you're okay, I'm open to shifting over to the Serbian discussion now, given that it's a very soft topic for me, because at one point, bro, let's not forget, I had this team in the semifinals of the goddamn World Cup. So I got a little bit of a grudge against this team now after the shit I saw in that group stage performance at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. So let's talk Serbia, bro. Let's talk Serbia. You ultimately see the Serbian team as a more formidable side than Slovenia?
I say they're all on par, and I'll say the same thing about Denmark too. You already kind of alluded to it. Like, Slovenia could play Denmark, but is Denmark that good? You see what I'm saying? So Serbia, do I say that they're better than these teams? No, but are they the exact same? In output, probably. So honestly, this is going to be a crapshoot for who gets second place, in my opinion.
But it doesn't make you angry how they shouldn't be as good.
Oh,
They should be better, bro. Serbia should be better, man.
No.
They should be coming off of a third place finish at the 2022 FIFA World Cup, bro.
Yeah.
When you look at the names.
Yeah.
And
that vote is sailed for me. But that's why you're rightfully pissed, bro.
No,
because
but, yeah.
this team is the exact same that played a year and a half ago. On the wide ends, you have Živković, you have Kostic. In the midfield, you have Sasha Lukic, you have Dusan Tadic. You still have Aleksandar Mitrovic leading the line.
Best player, in my opinion.
And then you have Sergej Milinkovic-Savic still providing that coverage defensively. This is the exact same squad. And here's the problem. They get the exact same results, bro. They play the exact same way. And what is that way? Well, sure, they can score a lot of goals against teams that are on par with them, but no matter who they play, they leak goals.
That defense.
It's wide open,
bro. Oh my God. They at one point conceded 3 to Cameroon in the World Cup. Let's not forget that. And then 3 to Switzerland as well. And just recently, they conceded 4 goals, four burgers to Russia.
Yeah.
Who's not even here, man.
Yeah.
Not even Jokic could save this team, is what I wrote down. Serbian. Yeah, so we got Luka Doncic's team and Nikola Jokic's team in this group. Jokic can't save this goddamn team, bro. They got second place in Euros qualifying behind Hungary. But if you look at the group beyond Hungary, bro, they should have gotten through. It was Montenegro, Lithuania, and Bulgaria. I mean, come on, bro. If you don't make it out of that group, then there's something wrong with you. For Serbia, for me, it all comes down to their defense, and I just don't see improvements there with Pavlovic still leading the backline, I believe. It's just not enough, man. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
I think they're setting themselves up for failure here, and that's why I'm going to go Slovenia, because I think they're a better team than Serbia, who's a team of just individuals, in my opinion.
I'm hoping for Serbia that we see more of Dusan Vlahovic. Yeah. He's been working really hard at Juventus. I still think he could score a little bit more goals. His injury proneness maybe doesn't help in that regard, but when he's on it, man, Vlahovic is relentless. He loves the physicality aspect of the game, and when he does get an opportunity in front of goal, he looks to be deadly. I'm hoping we see more of him, but the coach goes with Mitrovic, and that makes sense. Mitrovic is a beast, but I just think, honestly, if Serbia just want to go full-on Serbia and go all-out offense, dude, play both Mitrovic and Vlahovic. Play a double front two up top, and then try and have the midfielders just constantly feed them. You just concede 3 goals, but maybe you score 4.
Yeah, shoot out.
Shoot out.
That might be the best method. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
That might be the best method for this team. And thing is, deep in my heart, I still want to see Serbia succeed, man. I do. I mean, if they made like a quarterfinal run, I'd be like, there it is. I'd feel at least somewhat justified in what I thought the potential of this team was just 2 years ago. But if they end up disappointing again, then I'm all out on Serbia, bro. I'm all out on them. But ultimately, you have them in third or you have them in second?
Let me see here.
Yeah, think about this. You're going to go as far to say Serbia gets second in this group? And if they get third, do you have them as one of the teams getting out?
God.
I know I'm being hard on you, bro. I know I'm being hard on you, but I need to know regarding Serbia.
I just hate saying Serbia's second place in any sentence, man. In any content, Serbia shouldn't deserve second place. If this group was a little harder, they wouldn't get second. But it really just depends on if Slovenia and Denmark show up, man. Serbia could finish second. They could finish in fourth, man. I really do think that second, third, and fourth place is that wide open. I will give Serbia... God damn it. I'll give them third place. I'll go third.
Is it? Are they a top 4 out of 6 third place team, or do they end up in that 5 or 6 slot?
Shit, no, I can't give you that. I can't give
you that. I need to know if they go to the round of 16 or not.
They easily could, bro. They easily could, because if you look at other groups where they're a lot harder, that third place team might get screwed against the top 2. Whereas Serbia, really, they just have to worry about England, and then from there they can handle Denmark, they can handle Slovenia. I'm just saying, if I have to pick, I'm gonna go Serbia third place. But like I said, I will not be surprised if they get fourth or second.
Dude, it's great. Serbia's our most viewed video on YouTube, I think. It was at one point my analysis of them. And look at how I'm talking about them now, bro. I want to be Serbians. Accept
this
me
is
back.
on them, man.
This is on
Serbia.
I know, bro. I know. But I'm just saying, like, I want to be part of you. Please give me a reason to rejoin the Serbian army, man.
So are you saying?
I'm saying Slovenia third, Serbia fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. I'm saying Serbia fourth. I'm sorry.
Right.
Meaning that in second place, we both have Denmark. And my question is there a coach that's more hated on than Denmark's head coach right now in Kasper Hjulmand. Because the things I've read about him, bro, are visceral, bro. Man, Danish people hate him.
Really?
They hate him. They claim that he is the biggest problem for the team. He's been there 4 years now. Doesn't seem to get the most out of the players anymore, or doesn't employ the proper tactics. And some folks even went so far as to say that they're calling him Morten Olsen 2.0. And now I look up, who the hell is Morten Olsen? And he was the coach that came before him who coached Denmark for 15 straight years, bro. He was the main guy for them for so long, but ultimately ended in a really sour relationship. People are starting to reference him, Kasper Hjulmand, as the next version of Morten Olsen. It ain't good, bro. It ain't good. What I'm hearing in terms of discourse regarding the head coach, very negative. I would compare it to probably the same negativity I see for Gareth Southgate from the English people. And it really surprised me because they made it to the semifinals of the 2020-2021 Euros, bro. And right now they're ranked number 21 on FIFA's rankings, and they topped their Euros qualifying group, which had Slovenia, Finland, and Kazakhstan in it. So I was surprised to see when I was doing all my research that Denmark folks are actually really low on this team right now because of the form that they're in, but also because of the job that the coach has been doing.
I actually wrote something specifically for Denmark in my notes. Let me see here. Oh yeah. Fuck Denmark. That's all I have to say about this team, bro. Yeah, it's actually written down here. I wrote it down. I took the time to write it down because I actually agree with all the Danish people, man. This team is washed. They don't have the same vigor or excitement or energy that they once possessed. And I think that's why I hate this team, because they betrayed me. They let me down, bro. Just like you had high hopes for Serbia in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, I had the exact same high hopes for Denmark going into that tournament. But the thing is, so many other people did too. You just said they had an insane Euro campaign, and then going into that World Cup, bro, they were beating France. They were going up against Europe's best and actually dominating. The form that they were on was so ridiculously high that I couldn't ignore it, and most people couldn't either. And the performance that they gave at the World Cup was stupid, man. It's stupid, man. It made me want to just not even watch football anymore, bro. I was like, if you're beating France 3 months prior to that, and you're dominating France, who went to the World Cup final, and you lay an egg in Qatar against a pretty manageable group, honestly, then like, what am I doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Like, my goodness, man. And I can't forgive these Danish players. I really can't, because they possess so much skill. They had so much energy going into this tournament and into that FIFA World Cup tournament. And, bro, they were shadows of themselves. Not even shadows of themselves. I don't even know who those players are anymore. And when you look at their qualifying campaign for this Euros, yes, they beat Slovenia. So, sure, they have that under their belt going into this group. But it wasn't convincing, man. It really wasn't. They're hot and cold. Throughout an entire 90 minutes, they might have a good 45 minutes, but the next 45 is boring. They don't move the ball quickly. But I think it's frustrating if you're Danish, because there is still really good talent in this squad,
amazing, man.
Yeah, you have Thomas Delaney in the midfield. You still have Christian Eriksen from a veteran perspective. Yusuf Poulsen is still playing top number 9 striking position football. And then at the back, man, I mean, you saw Joachim Andersen, Andreas Christensen. Like, these are top quality center backs. This team has in true, genuine quality, but the way that they play and the way that they've been playing for the last year and a half, it's not exciting. It's not good. Fuck this team.
Kasper Schmeichel as well, Simon Kjær, Norgard from Brentford, or Jensen.
Matthias Jensen.
Yeah, Matthias Jensen, Dolberg. Manchester United's very own Rasmus Højlund getting the opportunity here.
He'll have a big opportunity to make a name for himself, right? Because he had a good season at United, but United as a whole, since it was so down, a lot of players kind of went down with that. I think Højlund is one of those guys, but he has the makings of being a really good striker. This could be a really good opportunity for him.
I agree.
That'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. But also, upon doing research, I came to find what was frustrating the Danish folks so much about the selections from Højlund. And one of the biggest ones was excluding Matthew O'Reilly, who I have never seen play. I was like, who's Matthew O'Reilly? Everywhere I look, Matthew O'Reilly. I can't believe you didn't pick him. 19 goals, 18 assists for Celtic this season. Youngster. Claimed to be the heir to Christian Eriksen in the sense of being a very attack-minded forward, in the sense of being a very attack-minded midfielder, doesn't get the call up whatsoever. And when you look at Denmark and the midfielders, they don't really have that many attack-minded midfielders with guys like Højbjerg, for example. And the offensive players, I don't think they have it in them to carry that weight with Jonas Wind, Lindström, Darami, Dolberg, Poulsen. They don't have to go off this tournament for any success to be had. And the fact that they're all pretty young as well outside of Poulsen, I would say, I don't know if it's enough to trust in them to be able to, compete against top teams like England, for example, who's in this group.
Yeah.
The thing is, it is pretty weak. The rest of the group is pretty weak. I think it's enough to get by Serbia and Slovenia, but that's it. That's it. I think getting out of this group is their biggest achievement. I can't believe I'm instilling faith in them getting out of the fucking group once again. But here we are. I think they get knocked down in the round of 16 pretty easily, and that's the end of the Danish story.
Dude, yes. I have nothing to add there. Denmark have enough to compete in this group, except against England. They're a solid squad at best, which is, it's good. That means they're at par with Europe's middle tier. They can punch above their weight sometimes, but they just haven't really shown to do that anymore. I think they've peaked, and if the manager's not trying to instill new talent into the squad, then I think you're just going to get a stale, same result that you've been getting this last year and a half. So, yeah, round of 16, no further than that for Denmark.
What's the biggest positive of Denmark? What is it?
I just think it's the talent that they have. Because, again, Andersen and Christensen are truly top-quality center backs. Yes, Kasper Schmeichel, this will be his last Euros, by the way. He's getting up there in age. So this will be a really cool kind of send-off for him. I could see him trying to play his heart out in between the sticks. And then, of course, Christian Eriksen's the veteran for this team. He still plays good football. And honestly, I was never the biggest fan of Pierre-Emil Højbjerg, but what he did for Tottenham this year, pretty solid. He's very good on the defensive end of things, and I think he has become a better passer over these last couple of years in England. You have a good player in him as well, so that's the good thing about Denmark is the individual quality. I just think when you put it all together, it just doesn't really work right now.
And so to round out Group C, we both have England and Denmark in first and second. Where we differ is with Serbia and Slovenia. I have Slovenia in third, Serbia in fourth. You have Serbia in third, Slovenia in fourth. Let us know in the comments, guys, where you stand on this group.